let's get started. So, first and foremost, I just want to thank the over 100 and so folks that are joining us this evening at 6 o'clock in the middle of the week. I know it's busy for everyone. Um, this is something that the NVC, amazing team at NVC, and I have just been dreaming about. And so I'm really glad that we are making this happen tonight and getting information to our students and parents when it comes to dual enrollment. So let's get into introductions and we'll get straight into the content. My name is Kelly Watkins. I am the College and Career Readiness Counselor for NVUSD. This is a new position here at the district, and I'm just loving every minute of it. So sorry if you get a ton of my emails, but I want to get all the information I can to you to help your son or daughter get where they want to go in the future. And then I'll let Christine introduce herself.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Christine Tapia. I'm the manager for educational partnerships and early college from Napa Valley College.
Good evening. My name is Eric Martinez. I'm a general counselor here at Napa Valley College. You also might see me at the local high schools doing presentations and explaining sessions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Flor Martin del Campo. I'm the Career Education Outreach Specialist, and one of my duties is to assist your students who want to enroll and do enroll classes. So welcome, everyone.
So these are some of the topics we're going to discuss tonight. We're going to give you an overview of dual enrollment, talk about the expectations of a student when they're taking a college class. We have a lot of students that are taking dual enrollment courses that are offered on their high school campus, but we have even more students taking concurrently enrolled courses at the Napa Valley College, either online, hybrid, or in person. And those expectations are really important to know. We're going to talk about the student and family roles, how to support your student who is taking a class at the college. Floor, who knows the steps to enroll, is going to go over how to enroll in a class. And then probably the most exciting are those important dates and next steps for your child to enroll, especially this summer coming up. And then I'm going to go over some just one slide related to NVUSD and some of the little facts that you need to know just when it comes to college classes on your high school transcript and credit conversion. We will open it up at the end for questions.
Right, I think this is me. Thank you, Kelly, and good evening again, everyone. Thank you for being here. I want to especially thank Napa Valley Unified School District and Kelly for collaborating with Napa Valley College to provide important information for our dual enrolled students and families who actually make up a large percentage of our college student population. So first, let's start with what dual enrollment is and what it isn't. When we say dual enrollment, we're talking about students who are taking college courses while they're still in high school. So you will hear terms like CCAP, non-CCAP, middle, early college, and even adult dual enrollment. So it's really helpful for us to differentiate these with non-dual enrollment options like AP or advanced placement, IB, high school articulation, or equivalency. Those non-dual enrollment pathways follow different policies and credit rules. The partnership between Napa Valley College and NVUSD and our local high schools offer different types of dual enrollment. So our most popular one is probably our college and career access pathways. You'll often hear it referred to as CCAP. These are limited enrollment college courses, meaning that they are offered at the high school campus to a closed group of students. So only high school students have access to these types of courses. The students receive assisted enrollment from our staff and specialists like Flor, And these classes may be taught by qualified high school teachers who meet the college's minimum qualifications. These classes are really popular because they essentially take place of the same course at the high school level, and there is no tuition, books, or materials costs for students. The other type of dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment is your non-CCAP. Open enrollment college courses. These are open enrollment college courses. So are high school students who take these types of classes find themselves taking them along with regular college students. The students have to self-navigate the enrollment process at the college, and the classes may be held at the high school after the bell schedule or during early flight in some cases. They may also be held at Napa Valley College or online or hybrid, as Kelly mentioned. And these classes are typically taught by our college instructors, and then sometimes the students have to pay for books and materials. Then you have early or middle college programs like the early college program at New Technology High School. And these are small, intentionally designed programs that blend high school and college in a coherent way to give the students a head start on college or career preparation. The goals for the students enrolled in these programs range from completing 12 to 15 college credits to completing a certificate of achievement or even an associate's degree by the time they graduate high school. There are tons of benefits of dual enrollment, of course, but I think that perhaps the most important ones are the ones you see on this slide. So first and foremost, for our parents in the room, students can save money and potentially about the equivalent of a year or more of college tuition. And they also save time by earning high school and college credits, transferable college credit simultaneously. So students really learn how to be college students early, whether it's a CCAP course that follows our college curriculum or the non-CCAP course where they are taking the courses along with regular college students. They also gain access to Napa Valley College supports and resources. So we kind of blend the best of both worlds in terms of high school and college support services and resources for students in dual enrollment. And in some cases, the pathways that they are going through for or their areas of studies they can even earn certificates that stack towards high paying careers. We have, for example, we have a very popular welding program that holds an annual summer boot camp, and so within 6 to 8 weeks a student can complete 2 or 3 courses that amount to a basic welding certificate, which makes them early employable for our workforce. So those are just some of the benefits of dual enrollment. But all in all, and this is a nationwide data, across the United States. It's been shown that dual enrollment students are 12% more likely to graduate high school, 7% more likely to earn a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree. And at Napa Valley College, we estimate about the savings of a little over $3,000 per year in tuition and books for a full-time load, about 12 to 15 units. Although I want to clarify that the savings are estimates and they vary depending on the student's course load and materials. Maybe less, in a lot of cases, perhaps more. So now I'm going to pass it off to Eric to share the clear expectations so students can thrive in dual enrollment programs.
Thank you, Christine. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. And yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about our college expectations that I think are really important for students and families to know a little bit more about. And yeah, and starting off, college classes, I think it's important for students to understand that these are college classes and the rigor and expectations change from high school to college. And we do have a good amount of students that sometimes have a hard time adjusting to the new rigor. So I think it's important that you understand that it's a college class and you have to treat it like one. It's college content, and you have to put that time and that energy into these courses to get the grades that you need to get. Another thing is the discussion topics can be designed for adults and they can be a little controversial at times. I think it's good to know going into these classes that sometimes some of these topics could be controversial. And it's just good to have that idea going into some of these courses. Um, and as I was saying, the rigor can be a lot more than like high school. So, I think this is a good example of for every hour of classroom time, it's around 2 hours of outside homework and like study time. So, you really do have to put in a lot more time into your courses. And I think it's important to just know that once you want to take a college course, that you do have to put a lot more time into. Okay, so these are all very important, but I think this is super important that your grades earned are part of your permanent student record. So if you take a college course, it'll be your final grade will be your final grade, and it'll be a college grade. And I think it's very important that students and parents understand that, even a C grade could be detrimental, because if you want to go into maybe like a STEM major or a very like competitive, impacted, selective major, if you get a lot of C's, you would be already coming in as a 2.0 student, and that could, not help you get into the schools that you may want to get into. So I think it's super important that you understand that even a C could hurt you depending on your major, depending on your school that you want to go to. All these little things could add up. So that's why you got to treat these classes um, with a lot of attention, and you have to put in that time to get as many A's and B's in these courses. Another thing is it could impact your financial aid if you're coming to Napa Valley College after. So if you're taking dual enroll classes and you get D's or some F's, or if your cumulative GPA is under a 2.0, when you come to Napa Valley College, you could end up losing your financial aid because you would be on academic probation. So, those two are very important. So, as you're taking classes, it's important that you understand why you are taking them and for what reason. And if you are taking courses, that you understand that there are a lot of consequences. And it's good that you come in and like talk to us as a counselor, to just so you understand kind of like what this means and what you're getting into, I guess. I guess these courses fulfill high school requirements. They will affect your high school transcript, and I think Kelly can maybe talk about this more. But I know that whatever you take here can also affect you in high school as well. And yes, if you do take courses here, we do pay for the class and the fees, but you still may be responsible for like textbooks and supplies, getting to campus if it's a hybrid or an in-person class. And if you get hungry, you do have to either bring a snack or a lunch, or we do have a bookstore, a cafe here that you can, get between classes. And, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FERPA, this permits students to inspect their educational records. It also provides students the opportunity to correct and seek correction with the records. And most importantly, it also limits disclosure of their personal information. And if they want to share that with like their parents, they would have to sign a non-disclosure petition. So if a parent comes in and they ask me, oh, how's my son or daughter doing, I can't let them know unless the student signs the petition. So I think it's important that people know this. Yeah, as I was saying, for students, it's very important if you take a college class to learn how to manage your time. I think that's one of the most important things for incoming students, like learning their time management, self-management. And if you can do that, you'll be able to track your assignments, deadlines, and professors here have office hours that you can meet with them certain days and time. So I think those are very important things to do and to know. Yeah, and student family roles, so student responsibilities, obviously, right? Attend class. It's a little different from a high school. If you don't attend the class here, you may not hear from your professor ever, but you still have to complete all the work. And if you miss lecture, you may miss all those, all the information. So it's really important that you attend class. We have our own system here where you will have your own email. So that you something that is important to check daily, your Outlook NDC email. And there's always going to be deadlines with your assignments and whatnot. And from families, if your student is dual enrolled, I think it's very important that you support them 100% because they're in high school and you're taking a college class, right? That's a lot of time and like effort that students have to put in. And I think it's very important that parents understand that it takes a lot of their time to just study and do homework, and they may not be able to do other things, right? Like certain chores or like responsibilities. And I think it's important that families understand that it's a lot of effort and time when students take college classes. And I think it's
Okay,
Noah.
that would be me. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you. So now that you know there's a lot of advantages on how to why to enroll, right, in C courses and CCAPs and concurrent enrollments, and also the responsibilities. We have support to help the students who are interested in enrolling in those courses. So and important deadlines. Okay, so the very, very first step, if the student is interested in enrolling in any of the concurrent enrollment, CCAP, the first thing that the student is going to do is to apply. And this is a free application. They have to apply to Napa Valley College. Actually, they do have to submit an application that it's called CCC Apply, that it's California Community College. So this account, actually, the student can apply for any community college. And so that's also the confusing part for many students. They stop at creating an account and then forget to submit an admissions application to Napa Valley College. So that's one of the most common mistakes that we find with students. The other things that we really recommend students to do when they're applying and submitting their admissions application is that they use a personal email. All the students right now, they have a school email, right? And that's probably the one that they use the most. However, once they graduate high school, they are those emails are going to get disactivated. So and because this account is going to be available after high school, they would need that verification code so they can access that admissions application. So it's better if the students create a personal email that they use for college. So that would be one of the very first thing that we tell the students. Within 24 to 48 hours, the students will receive a welcome email. This welcome email contains important information. It will contain the Napa Valley College student ID number. It would also going to contain how to set up the dual authentication when their students create and apply for Napa Valley College. They are going to be created their student portals. And so in order to access those student portals, they need the welcome email, that welcome, that information that is in the welcome email. And again, the important number they will get in their welcome email is their Napa Valley College student ID number. So after students apply, if the student wants to take a math, a English, or even a class that requires a proper placement, the students do need to do very simple online placement process. That online placement, it takes about 5 minutes, and they need high school information of how many or what past courses they have taken, their grades in math or and English. So this is something that we can guide your students to do if they want to take an English and a math course as a dual enroll. The third step, that's probably the one that it does take also a little bit longer just because it does require a parent or guardian's signature. So your students, like we said, there's a lot of responsibilities, but a lot of benefits, but they do need the permission of a parent or guardian to be able to attend or enroll in those courses. So that's why we have to have a permit to attend and file. So this online applications are very specific per school. So in our website, which I will share in a little bit, we do have, if your student goes to Napa Vintage, we have one per all Napa school district schools. So that way the student submits the information and it goes to the designate assigned to their high school. One of the common mistakes that students have been making is because it does have to go to the email of the parent guardian. Sometimes the student does not write the correct email, so that permit sometimes gets lost. But again, the students, once they have a permit to attend, the good thing is like if the student stays in that high school for the remainder of their high school journey, they don't need to submit another one. If the student changes school, they do need to submit a new permit to attend. And just so you know too, if the parent guardian at some point decides that they no longer can't take classes or shouldn't take classes, this can be revoked, and that could be a different process that we can talk about. But again, we're here to support you. We're here to support your students to go through these steps. The fourth step is to find classes. Once you have a permission to attend, an application, your student portals, we really encourage you to talk first with your high school counselor so that they can advise you if there's any classes that are being held at your high school, because that will be probably the easiest. You don't have to travel, right? Or they might be some courses that you can do count for college and high school credit. So talk to your high school counselor first to see if there's any sessions, classes that they had advised. And if you already know what your major will be, you know what, if you want to transfer, you want to go straight to the university. Also, our Napa Valley College counselors are also available to help you. And the last step is to log in with that login information from the welcome email, and then to register when is the time to register for high school students. And we can go into the next part. Thank you. So this is just an example of how our college students and our students actually taking dual enroll courses right now. They're subjects to dates. So the last date to add a class, for example, would be February 4th. Also, if the student decides that that class is a lot, the last date to take that class out of the transcript will be, so the last day to drop without a W, so it won't show in the transcript, is February 4th. So these dates are very, very important. So let's say that our high school students or dual enroll students, or for say any college students decides to drop a class after February 4th, they have March 27th to drop that class with a W. And so forth. So these are very important deadlines. Every semester we have these ones in our website. As Eric was mentioning, our students need to know this if they need to continue with class, petition for pass, no pass grading, because it could affect in the future. And these grades will be in your college transcript, so it's very, very important again to seek support if your students is struggling with the class, or look into the option of either dropping the class if that's not something that the student is going with. But again, these dates are every semester we have this important dates, and the best way to check that is on our website. Okay, and then next. So if your student is interested in registering for summer or fall, so take the classes that we're offering right now, is a good time to start with the steps to enroll. So they can start submitting an application. My information will be also put here, and we can assist that so they can complete all of the steps. So that, for example, if the student wants to take a summer class, their date to register will be April 14th. So they have, by then they would have to have the application, if it's the placement, the permit to attend and file, and that way they have everything. So April 14th, they can register for a summer 2026 course. Same with fall, they would have to have everything so that for May 19th, the K through 12 do enrollment prior to registration, they have everything in place so that they can register. Again, we're here to help. I know it could be a little overwhelming, but we're here to help you and your student if they decide to take a summer or fall course.
Okay. I'm gonna try to go slowly. I have a lot to say. Christine, if you could click on the NVC courses, that link.
Do that.
I don't think you're sharing your screen
Yeah.
at the moment. Okay.
I'm trying to pull it up.
Thank you. So I think one of the most, while Christine's doing that, I think one of the most important things to mention is something Eric had said. Before you start taking classes at the college, you really have to understand why are you taking the classes. So here's some of the reasons my students in the past have taken classes at the college. Number one, they want to open up room in their high school schedule. So I'll take, let's say, world history at the college over the summer so that I can take leadership and, um, you know, a band class. Um, that's one reason. Another reason, a lot of my students, um, they want to be able to explore interests in college majors that they're interested in. So, for example, my one of my oldest is taking. She wants to study viticulture and enology. She's taking a class at the Napa Valley College to show in her college applications that she's already taking classes at the college to get a foundation. So I always tell students, Christine, you don't have to click on that. You can go back to the PowerPoint and I'll just speak to it.
Got it.
Um, so exploring an interest. So if a student really knows they want to go into something in science, and there's a class at Napa Valley College that their high school doesn't offer, that's great. I have a student that wanted to study astro physics, so he took an astronomy class. That wasn't something that Vintage High School offered. That was a great thing for him to explore. Another reason students take classes at Napa Valley College, especially when it comes to math, like they've already gone through AP Calculus, at the high school, and they want to continue to take advanced math courses that the high school doesn't offer. The other thing, and I have had students do this, and one student in particular I'm working with, she wanted to get as much general education out of the way so that she could graduate from a four-year university in 3 years, save herself money, save her parents money. So trying to get the general education credits out of the way. I have to be honest. um, Sometimes students do bite off more than they can chew, and Eric was kind of speaking to that. I have had students over the summer take a class and it not go well because they weren't attending lectures or they weren't putting as much effort into it and they missed the withdraw date. And so now they have a W on their transcript. Now, fast forward to senior year, we're applying to college. That W has to be submitted. That college transcript has to be submitted in their college applications. especially since that student already had taken other college classes, so and done pretty well. So that college transcript from MVC is going to have his A, his B from, the other classes along with the W. And there will be a spot on the college application for that student to explain, what happened. But it doesn't just go away. I think kids think I can just report what I want to report. That is not the case. Going into the classes, so do our board policy states that high school students can only put 4 NVC or Solano or Santa Rosa, any community college class, only 4 can count toward high school graduation requirements. So I want to kind of speak to that. So if I mean, I have children that have done this, so I can speak to that. So one of my kids took world history, took some kind of chemistry. That's not something I would have taken, but great. A viticulture class, and I think an art class. Those 4 classes could count, right? The world history would count toward the world history credit. The other classes could count those elective classes, and then the chemistry could count for her science credit. As a counselor, I really, really do not recommend taking those lab classes at the college. It is a lot for students, and we really want them to take those classes at the high school. Once they've satisfied their biological and their physical science requirement, and they want to do something more exploratory, like the astronomy class, like an anthropology class, or human anatomy and physiology, great. But I will say, some classes are definitely better to take on high school campuses. It is not to say that a student can't take more than the 4 classes and get credit. They just can only have those 4 on their high school transcript. So I have students that have taken 8, 12 Napa Valley College classes, but the only 4 will actually show up on the high school transcript. Something I also want to tell you, those college classes that they're getting college credit and are showing up on their high school transcript also get that honors or AP grade bump. So, for example, my daughter, who she got a B plus on the world history class at the college, I was proud of that. That got that extra grade bump on her high school transcript. I love how many amazing career exploratory CTE classes that MVC has. We are so, so lucky. Their catalog is full of amazing classes. So, like Christine said, the welding classes, the viticulture classes, the EMT classes. I've had a lot of students actually take the EMT basic courses. So I would really, really recommend before your son or daughter signs up for a course, make sure they have a really good rationale for why, but then also make sure it's a class that really is fitting with what they're interested in and potentially connecting it to what they're going to be majoring in. I did want to say something about highly selective colleges, because actually we've run into this year. I think the Napa Valley College team is aware that NVUSD has become a partner with the STARS College Network, which is my little baby, along with Dr. Masudis, our superintendent. We have had students that have almost had AA degrees from Napa Valley College, and they've applied to these highly selective schools. Columbia, U Chicago, Northwestern. I do want you to know that at those schools, they will not take the college credit. They will see it. They will say, bravo, you obviously are you're taking rigorous courses, you're obviously ready for college, but they will not count it toward general ed. Those kinds of schools, those more highly selective colleges, they want you to take their core classes when you get there. So in California, they'll take it all. I mean, one of my really great friends, and she's also a counselor in the district, her son is currently at UC Berkeley in the aerospace program. And he came in as a junior in college at Berkeley based on his AP scores and the dual enrollment slash concurrent enrollment classes. Berkeley took it all. So in California, if your son or daughter, and this is what's hard, is you don't know what your child might want to do, especially if they're freshmen and they want to just take a college class. Great. Maybe it's just so they can add another cool elective in their schedule sophomore year. I think that's awesome. But it this does have implications depending on where you do apply to college, and your child might not know that yet. So I just want to keep that a part of the conversation, because I will say one of my students that I worked with from American Canyon High School, such a go-getter. She almost has an AA degree, and I think she was under the impression that some of these more highly selective schools she was applying to, it was going to fast track her um, through college, and I had to kind of let her know like that's not the case after meeting with like the admission director from Notre Dame. She was like, I think it's great your student has done all of this amazing coursework. However, we are going to want her to start with us as a freshman taking our core classes. So I just wanted to mention that because that's becoming more and more of something that's on my radar. I already mentioned the college applications, and that if you do get a W, or like Eric said, if you do get a D on a college class, maybe you passed other classes, they are going to still have you send in those college transcripts. And so there's no avoiding that. So going to back to what Floor said, our students being very aware of those drop deadlines is crucial. And one thing I find with high school students and parents, anyone who has a high schooler, we might not always be in the know as a parent. And so they're going to have to be really responsible for these deadlines, because unlike high school, where high school teachers might flex and, oh, you can turn in something late, that's not happening at the college level. And there's no flexibility or negotiation. So if they miss the deadline, it's set in stone. So I want to just be really clear about how important um, the definitiveness is of those deadlines. And then lastly, I love this Napa Valley College counseling team. Christine has done a phenomenal job um, really growing dual enrollment and CCAP in NVUSD. And I'm super proud of our partnership. We all work very closely together. She has started the dual enrollment ambassador program on our campuses, which looks like this. There are students from that have taken several dual enrollment classes or concurrent enrollment classes that are now ambassadors on high school campuses. So I'll just use Vintage because I know the two amazing ambassadors there. Audrey Hartwig and Sienna Yu are, they've had a lot of success taking dual enrollment classes, and they are on campus to support students through those steps to enroll that Floor went over. At every high school, there are a few of those dual enrollment ambassadors, um, and they're there to help. So yes, always go to your high school counselor, but they also might say, hey, we have these really phenomenal young people that also want to help you and have been through the process and can walk you through it seamlessly. So I can make sure that those dual enrollment ambassador information is shared with you later this week. But definitely taking advantage of that. I did want to say one last thing, and I think it's when we share, we can either share the slides with you at a later time. I will definitely share the recording of this. There is a document that NVC courses high school grad requirement. That document's really important, and I would love for you guys, when I send it out, to take a look at it. There have been some changes, so hear me out on this. If a student wants to take US history at the college, they have to make sure they sign up for the right section for it to actually meet the requirement for the high school graduation requirement. That is now History 121, and it's United States History Part 2. So we have created with Napa Valley College help with their help a matrix of, if you want to take this high school grad requirement, this is the class or classes you have to take to satisfy the requirement. Economics, this is not going to go over well with people, but it's just the way it is. In order to satisfy economics high school graduation requirement, you actually have to take both Econ 100 and Econ 101. So that might make students think, maybe I should just take the semester course at my high school rather than take two college classes, because that is a lot. So we have that document, that is, it's fresh off the press, and I can't wait for you guys to take a look at it, because it will definitely help you navigate which courses are those equivalents. And I know that that was a major question when you filled out the form to register. I'm pretty sure there's so much more I could go over, but I will just leave with this. A lot of students want to take classes over the summer. I love it. My oldest, she took many classes over the summer. I kind of loved it because she was still, using her brain and not just vegging out. But I will say this, classes over the summer, super challenging to get into. So if you noticed, and Floor showed you that schedule, and you're going to have this, in slides later this week, the high school students cannot register until April 14th. So your son or daughter might be like, oh yeah, I'm going to take US history over the summer, and then this and that. They might not get in. And then now they've taken a high school requirement out of their high school schedule. And now they're missing US history credit, which they need to graduate. So I want to make it really, really clear. Don't bank on getting into some of those classes, because we don't know if there will be space available. So I just want to put that out there, just as also as a parent, because we came up against that. You can always take a class at a different community college, but taking them at MVC is just so much more convenient. And these are the people that are supporting us. So at this point, we have about 15 minutes left. We want to open it up to questions. So Megan, our phenomenal tech support, is going to help us with this. So if you just raise your hand, she is going to unmute you, and you can ask your question, and then any one of us can respond to the question.
Alrighty, here we go. We're gonna start with Marta's iPhone.
Hi there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Marta, great.
Okay, great. Thank you for this presentation. How do we determine if they should take a summer school course at their high school versus the college? I guess I'm a little unclear on that.
Marta, can you give me an example of maybe a class your child's considering?
We're not at that point yet.
Okay.
Do they, I guess, do they offer the same course at each, or would they just be different? Some courses are at the college and some are at the high schools.
Yeah, so let me give you an example. So, I'm trying to use like a real world example. So, for example, like I said, my oldest, she really wanted to take multiple electives at her junior year of high school. And it wasn't going to fit unless she took a class over the summer to get a graduation requirement out of the way. So she decided the easiest class for her to take, I mean, this was for her, was to take the US history class.
Mm,
And
mhm.
so that was able to come out of her high school schedule, and she was able to fill it in with another elective that she was really passionate about. It's going to vary student to student. We are actually, this presentation couldn't come at a better time because spring registration is right around the corner. All the high schools in NVUSD are going to start registering current ninth through 11th graders within the next 2 weeks. And so they will be going over the course selection, what classes they offer at the high school, and they'll be selecting their classes for next school year. And that also includes the incoming ninth graders. That's going to happen closer to March. So if there's something your child's really interested in that's not offered at the high school, I guess you'd have to make that determination later.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So can I add to that, Kelly?
Yeah.
Marta, that's a great question. So it's a couple of, I think what's a couple of really important things there is that the summer schedule for Napa Valley College typically comes out in March. And as Kelly mentioned, our K-12 or high school students are not able to register until April 14th, right? Is that correct? So
Mhm.
there is that little bit of time to be able to look at the courses that are offered on my NVC self-service. Let me see if I can like share my screen. If you go to the napavalley.edu site, you can
Mhm.
a student, granted that they've gone through the application. I think there is a way to go about it without having to log in. This is okay, it's probably gonna ask me to do that. My NVC self-service is where students can explore courses and sections that are offered at a specific semester. So obviously our
Mhm.
summer schedule isn't up yet, but for the sake of reference, I'm going to look at the summer session for 2025. Your student can look at specific areas of study, specific courses,
Mhm.
right? Or they can just say, I just want to search and see what's available. And it usually tells you the modality, whether a class is online, if it's offered on campus, the dates and times. What is really important to note is that if your dual enrolled student is going to be taking a college course for the first time during the summer, that session is somewhere between 6 to 8 weeks only. So what is typically offered, the coursework that is typically offered in the course of a regular 16-week semester for the college is compressed, is halved, or even like less. So that is an important, I would say that is an important consideration as far as like for first-time dual enrolled students, and also if a student is looking to use a summer course in place of a grad requirement, that the rigor remains the same, even though the scheduling is essentially like half of what it normally is. So it's a very important consideration. And I would also advocate that the student not only consult with their high school counselor, but also if this is something that's an entry point for them as far as like a future goal, maybe a degree, a certificate, or if they even want to use it just for general education, that they also consult with college counselors who can kind of so that they get both, right? They get kind of information from both ends.
Thank you.
All right, Megan, next question. Thank you, Marta.
Okay, next is Catherine Fleming.
Hi, my question was about the four classes that count towards the high school graduation. Do that show up on the transcript? Do the kids or parents get to choose which four those are, or how does that work?
Absolutely. So, Catherine, you get choice, and a lot of the time, it's those graduation requirements that students are like trying to get out of the way to make space for other things. So you definitely get to choose. How you guys do that, you can order. It's really easy to order transcripts from Napa Valley College on their website, and you just bring the unofficial transcript into your registrar at your school. So the registrar is the person responsible at each school site to put that unofficial transcript on the high school transcript.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, up next is May's iPhone.
Hi. Hello. So my question was also about the four classes for the high school credit. I was
Yes.
wondering if you do Econ 1 and 2, does that count as two separate classes for the high school credit, or does that count as just one class?
That is an excellent question. And I'm gonna just say it would probably count as one because it's really only taking the place of one high school graduation requirement. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. So I would count that as one, my dear.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yep.
Okay, up next is Kalina and De La Serna.
Okay.
Apologies if I butchered that.
Kalina? Kalina, are you there?
Okay, I'm gonna pop to the next one, but we'll leave her hand up and try and check in with her at the
Okay.
Deanna Scales, you are up next.
Hi, thank you for
Hi, Deanna.
the question. Can you explain the difference between the CCAP and the non-CCAP options, especially where it pertains to the costs for the books and materials and things?
Yeah, and Christina, I was gonna actually say we should use really specific examples.
Yeah.
So like at the specific high school, because I'm gonna just let you say it.
So our CCAP, that's a great question, right? And I think a lot of our students and their parents kind of like get a little bit confused about this. So the CCAP classes are actually they're covered by legislation, right? A specific example would be I'm gonna pick on vintage because we're working with vintage right now on their culinary classes. So Vintage has high school CTE culinary classes. There's two classes, right? Um, Under the CCAP agreement that the college has with NBUSD and Vintage High School, we essentially are replacing those two classes with two culinary classes at the college level. So instead of culinary one, we're calling it HCTM 100, which is our essentially our version of culinary one, and then culinary 2 is our HCTM 120, which is kind of our version of culinary 2. So the CCAP pathways are very much aligned with what's being taught at the high school. The only difference is that we are using the teachers at the high school are using the college course outline of record to teach those classes. So what Kelly was mentioning around you have to order a transcript, et cetera, it's a much more straightforward approach to receiving college credit because it's essentially embedded in the school. So instead of calling it culinary one, we're just saying college culinary 100, right? And then it shows up on their schedule as a college class. They get the bump. And then as far as books and materials, the CCAP actually legalizes it so that the districts are books and materials for the students. The students are not at all responsible for any, they're not paying tuition. They don't have to buy the books. They don't have to buy any materials. And what it's really great for are those classes that kind of maybe on the costly side. Like, can you imagine a culinary arts class? You have the uniform, the books, some licensing, certification, which can add up. So CCAP eliminates the burden of that on the student and puts it on the districts to figure it out, right? The non-CCAP classes are your traditional dual enrollment classes. For example, as a student, I really want to take US history at the college level to fulfill my US history requirement. If there is no CCAP agreement in my school, like say I'm a vintage high school student, I would go to my NVC self-service and figure out if there is a section of US history that I can take at the college or online or in a hybrid modality, which is a combination of online and in-person classes. And then I'll use that. I'll take that class, I'll enroll in it, pass it, and then I would essentially bring the transcript, the college transcript, to my registrar to put that class on my record as a history requirement. For those types of classes, so if your student is dual enrolled, they will not be charged enrollment fees, right? The $46 per unit. They're not charged that. But for the non-CCAP classes, if there is a textbook materials fees associated with it, in addition to transportation, right? Meals, etc. If they're going to the class on main campus after the bell schedule, they may be responsible for paying for those textbooks and materials. But that said, the college is really pushing for an initiative called Open Educational Textbooks, which is gaining popularity across the system because we realize in higher education that books and materials can be a deterrent to a student participating in college. So we are working really hard to try to see if we have alternative books or resources that are not as costly to the student.
Thank you. That was super clear.
Great, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks, Christine.
Okay, up next is Smith.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, this is Amy. Hi, Kelly.
Hi, Amy.
How are you?
Great.
Good. Our question is, and you might have already answered and we didn't catch it, but how do we find out what CPAP classes will be, CCAP classes are going to be offered at the high school for student to try to take on campus? Yeah.
I think one of the things Christine and I can do is generate a list of all the CCAP classes district-wide. I can speak to vintage, like the most popular one is the Napa Valley College Stats class that's taught by Miss Jospin. We also just created Honors Spanish 4, taught by Miss Dalila Hernandez, is now a Napa Valley College Spanish class. So they get college credit. So those are the two kind of main CCAP classes in core subject areas. And then like what Christine was talking about, some of the others are connected to our CTE pathways.
Yeah.
Christine, do you want to take that?
Absolutely. We can generate a list, which of course kind of like varies every semester, right? Because these agreements are kind of like they're flexible and up to a fairly regular review. If you go to the My NVC self-service site that I showed earlier, there is also a way to look at it and filter out the information based on the location. So for example, let's see what CCAP classes are available at Napa High School this current semester. So you'll see these four: Business 104, Health Talk 171, 121, 235. And another way to kind of make sure that there are CCAP classes, because sometimes we offer non-CCAP classes at the high school site too, to just like try out something. There are comments that will say, this is a CCAP course that's reserved for that particular high school. So that's another way if you're going about it through My NVC self-service. I believe there is also a listing on the dual enrollment webpage at the napavalley.edu site, but Kelly and I will work together on making that information more accessible to our community.
I have never seen that before, Christine. My mind is blown. That is a really cool filter, Amy, but that's a really great question. And I think us providing that district-wide for all families just creates more clarity. And like she said, semester to semester, it does change. So we might have to update that and share that out in the fall and then in the spring.
Yeah.
That
And
was
another thing to add to that, Amy, is that sometimes we have CCAP classes that are online. So it's not going to work if you search location and you put in your specific high school, because we might be filtering out CCAP classes that are taught purely online. So it's really important to we'll have that list, but also refer to my NBC self-service for more current information.
Thank you. And also, will more classes be added in the future versus like those two at Vintage for,
I mean, we're trying,
We're trying.
Amy. We're trying. We
are
really are.
We're constantly refining and reevaluating our partnerships. I think what a lot of folks don't know is that when we first started with dual enrollment, CCAP, in 2018, which is not even 10 years ago, we started with literally 5 classes. And now we are up to about an average of 30 sections per semester. So we're really trying to make sure that we have offerings at every high school where we can expand. But that is, the best way, I think, for us partners to get information about like what the students want, what the classes the classes that they need to fulfill specific goals, is to either go to their counselor and share that information, or if they have dual enrollment ambassadors on site, to give them that feedback so we can all look at that data together and make really strategic decisions about what classes we should advocate for. In my perfect world, we'll offer whatever a student needs, but that's not the reality that we have given our shared resources. But when we can partner so that it's the most bang for our students buck, that is our interest, to put our students' priorities and needs up top.
Thank you. One more question and then I'll be done. If a student is taking, like, for instance, statistics for one semester, and then the second semester of the school year, will they have other options? Like maybe they could do an online
Absolutely, Amy.
class during the class period at the school.
I've worked with
Library or
students to
something?
get creative, exactly, in the library online class. I can either I would reach out to their counselor to get creative with that, but I've done that numerous times as a counselor for students, especially with those one semester courses. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Next question, Megan.
Up next is Jolena.
I also know we are running over time. I'm happy to stay on and continue to answer questions. I think our panelists are as well. So thank you for such wonderful questions. If you do have to leave, we are recording this and I will send it out later. Jolena, are you ready?
Okay, we will hop to the next one. Unfortunately, there's a couple kind of generic names, but it should give them a little pop-up. Next one is iPhone 261.
Hi, my question is, can my student enroll in 2 different colleges? Let's say, like one class will be in Napa Valley College and another one in Solano, since Solano is bigger and they
Yeah,
offer more classes.
absolutely. I've had students enroll in courses in Southern California at different community college. I had one student that was super into cybersecurity and found Orange Coast Community College had the classes he wanted to take. So dual enrollment, thank goodness, across the state is open to high school students. And so the process might be obviously different for them to navigate to enroll in those courses. But the answer is yes.
Yeah. And so the application that the student submits for the CC Apply, that's the same account that will need so they can submit admissions application to a different community college. So the permit to attend that we show and we have in our website is for Napa Valley College. So you might have to submit a different permit to attend for the different community college. And I'm pretty sure they'll have everything in their website if you search for dual enrollment in their admissions and records forms, things like that. So the process, yeah, might be similar, but every school manages that information differently. So yeah, and we can try to help the student at least to enter that, create the CC apply, and do that admissions application because it might be very, very, very alike.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, up next is Brianna. Brianna?
I just had the same question as the other lady, so thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Brianna.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, this one is another generic. It is just Zoom user.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay, so I have a few questions.
go for
Um,
it.
my first one is, how long are the summer classes and are they in person or are they online?
It varies, but like Christine said, the summer courses are between 6 and 8 weeks. They are condensed. And there's a lot online. But it varies. So a lot of online options, in-person options, or hybrid options. You'll just have to look at that schedule of courses, schedule of classes to kind of see what's available. But I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, thank you. And
Uh-huh.
then same thing kind of for the fall semester. Is that like one semester or is that the whole year?
It's one semester, and it pretty closely kind of syncs up with our semester, like the traditional Napa Valley Unified School District semester. So your college class will start in August and it will end in December. The finals and that might not sync up, but it is for the entire semester.
Okay. And then my last one is I was talking to one of the ambassadors on my campus and
Great.
she was telling me about like associate degrees and stuff. So I was wondering like what are the steps to get to that and how do they affect like when you apply for college?
I'll take the college piece and then I want Christine or someone else to take the associates piece
Erica.
and those steps. I would say like currently I have a student at ACHS who will have an associate's degree at the end. Um, when she applies to college though, she's not going to apply as a transfer. She will be applying as a first-time freshman, but she will submit both her high school transcript and her college transcript. When you're going through the application process, let's just say you're applying to UCLA, they're going to ask you to submit all the courses that you took at the college, and it syncs up with the Napa Valley College. It lists their courses. But I think the biggest thing is the college, once like UCLA, let's say you get in, they get your transcript, they're going to go through that transcript and award you credits on their side of things. But you are going to still apply as a first-time freshman.
Okay. Thank
Okay,
you.
and then Christine, why don't you, what
Hey,
are the
Eric.
best steps for a go-getter like this young man who wants to get an associate's degree?
Eric, you want to speak to?
Yeah, I mean, you can look at our website and we have so many, like hundreds of certificates, degrees, and once, or if you don't see one, we can still kind of help you figure out what you may want to earn, or if it's just if you don't have a degree, you can still work on your GE. You can still um, there's there's different ways, right? Or if you have a specific major, you could start working on those specific requirements that you may need. I think the best thing to do is just come see us and just come talk to us about your what your like interests are or like what you may want to do, and then we can kind of help you get started, I guess.
So Eric, you would suggest that he should make an appointment with a college, an NVC college counselor to talk about a potential dual enrollment associate's degree?
Yeah, I mean, if I think that could be useful just because then we could talk more one-on-one about their goals and their like interest, and then we can line them up with whatever that may be. So
And I want to add that one of the differences between high school and college, once you earn enough credits to get your associate's degree, you do have to meet with a counselor so you can petition and get the paperwork so that you can get that associate's degree. It's not just you completed the courses and we're going to get it to you. You do have to meet with the counselor, and the ambassadors can help you make an appointment once you do your admissions application. They can book you that appointment with the counselors, and they're available to talk to you over the phone, video, or if you prefer to meet them in person at the college. And those are the things we can also help our students with.
And one last thing, and it's something Christine and I have talked about. We would love for our students who are getting associate's degree, once they petition, they get their everything signed off, to go to the Napa Valley College graduation, because you'll get two graduations, high school and college, and to walk that stage, because it is a really incredible and remarkable achievement. So if you're really serious about that, either you can email me, kwatkins@nvusd, or talk to your counselor at your high school and we can, support you.
Yeah, and our graduation petition dates are always published on the website. So if there are any participants here who are like almost at that finish line and you think you're going to complete an associate's by the end of the spring semester, let us know so we can walk you through that process. We would love to see you at commencement. Eric, Flora, and I are always there cheering our graduates on.
Okay. Thank you.
You're so welcome. Good luck with everything.
Thank you.
All right, next question. Todd, it looks like.
Yes, we had quite a few pop up during that one. So I think it speaks to the content tonight. Everyone's very engaged. All right, Todd, you are up.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I had a follow-up question to the summer classes. You were saying that it's hard to get into the summer classes, so I was wondering what is the best way to manage that? Is it just by registering as quickly as possible, or is there a test to qualify to get in, or how does that work?
It's really first come first serve, and so Floor's suggestion is great. I would have, if any of your kids are wanting to take a summer class, I would have them do all the steps to enroll that they possibly can do up to the point where they register. And then on that date, I'm just looking at the date again, Floor, April 14th, I'd set an alarm at like 1 a.m. and I'd get on there. I'm serious. And I would register for a class that says it's still open. Any of our students, our high school students, can also join a wait list, and that is also an option. But it's just the way that our high school students don't get priority over the current NVC students, which makes sense. So it just happens that way.
However, they do get priority over the open before it's open to everyone. So they do get some priority. But it does take a while, to be honest. Sometimes the application might get stuck in the system and I need to help you unstuck it from the system. And so if you don't get the welcome email in 48 hours, then I have to send it to our department, and then the permit to attend, it does, student starts it, then goes to parent, then it goes to the high school, and then it comes to us to record it officially in the students. So it is a process. So right now is the perfect timing to start for summer or fall. So you have the whole time in the world, not stressing, and that way when the April 14th, you have everything and you just click and register.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay. Kalina's back.
Yeah, Kalina is back.
Kalina, are you there? We see you're unmuted, but unfortunately we can't hear you. Maybe we'll go to Isabella, and anyone can email me questions as well. I might regret saying that, but I'll just let you email me if you have other questions.
Okay, up next is Isabella Trujillo.
Hello.
Yeah, hello, we hear you.
If I pay for books for dual enrollment, will I receive financial aid like after I graduate from high school to cover the cost of the books?
If you're a current high school student, it's not connected to financial aid at all. So you will have to pay for those out of pocket, my dear. I wish there was a way around that. If you took a CCAP class at your high school that counts for college credit, those costs would be covered. But unfortunately, over the summer, you would have to pay for the textbooks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, next is Kayla Sophia Molina.
Hello.
Hi, Kayla.
Hi. I have a couple questions. My first question is what college classes are like available, like some examples?
So, Kayla, if you go on to the napavalley.edu website and you're on that main page, you can see there's a link that says schedule of classes. That is where you would click, and then I don't think summer 2026 is available yet.
No.
So keep your eyes peeled. I'd go back to that website, and as soon as you see the drop down has summer 2026 on there, if you put that into the filter and you just say search classes, it will give you the whole list. And that's what I do when students would come to me wanting to know what classes were available.
On the summer reg calendar, it does say that the summer schedule will be up by February 10th.
Okay.
It seems soon, but that's what's on there. So
that's great,
hopefully it's
Eric.
on there. Yeah.
Yeah, it will be available February 10th. If you just want to get a general sense of what programs and courses are offered, you can consult the college catalog as well on the website until you get a sense of like, okay, when you find the classes that you're kind of like gravitating towards, and then the schedule becomes available on February 10th, then you can see what sections and what schedules are being offered.
Okay, thank you. And my second question is what's like the big difference between dual enrollment and AP classes?
There's
This is
big difference. So well, dual enrollment, so let me see. I actually like because I want to be super specific because we often get this question, right? I think there's a misconception that AP is similar to dual enrollment, but it is very not. So first of all, and Kelly, add to this, like if I'm missing something. So for AP classes, your AP credit depends on the score that you receive on a test, right? And your APs are taught by high school teachers, right? Typically. Dual enrollment may be taught by high school teachers who meet minimum quals, but typically more popularly taught by our college faculty. And the students earn real college credit when they pass the class. So you take the class, you complete the class, you pass it, and you get the credit. You don't have to necessarily have the test. A test may be part of the class, but you're not testing to get the credit, right? You're taking the class to receive that credit. And the credits transfer more consistently. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a college catalog and you can kind of see what courses transfer to what, whether it's the UC system or CSU system. There's also a website called assist.org that can show you like where it transfers, what those courses transfer to. So the big misconception is that AP is dual enrollment, and it is not. It is a form of credit earning, but it's not dual enrollment.
I think I'll add to that, Kayla. So, um, for example, I toured Cal Poly with one of my kids, and a lot of the scores, like in order to get college credit at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, especially in certain subjects, the score had to be a 4 or a 5. So threes weren't gonna cut it. So I will say, and this is so if you want to guarantee that you're getting college credit and it's CSU, UC transferable, then taking an NVC class is going to actually give you the college credit, not based on the test score like the AP. I will say some of these highly selective colleges that students are applying to, um, they are using AP test scores as a big weight in their decision making, more so than dual enrollment. And the reason why is because AP scores are standard across the nation, whereas they don't really know NVC's classes versus a community college in Tennessee. So AP is kind of a level playing field for them to evaluate, like, man, Kayla got 5s on all of her AP tests. They understand what the 5 means, if that makes sense. So, um, if you're gonna really do well on AP, tests and study like crazy and get 5s or 4s, that is going to benefit you. It's going to benefit you differently though than getting the college credit from NVC. I hope I didn't confuse you more, but it's an excellent question.
Thank, thank you. I understand. Sorry, I have one more question.
Go for it.
To take a college class, is there like a specific GPA that you need to currently have before you take a college class?
No, ma'am.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay, but we say that with
Oh.
a caveat, right?
Mhm.
There's no GPA requirement, but that said, there are certain classes that have prerequisites, meaning that you would have had to complete maybe a certain level of high school course, right? Coursework in that similar discipline, or maybe have shown advanced or like sufficient preparation to be able to enroll in that class. Like, for example, if it's a class that has like a heavy writing component, you want to make sure you would have had completed a specific level of English and composition to do that. So there are some classes, like if you look at our catalog, that will list prerequisite, or sometimes it's a recommended preparation, and those are like not hard requirements, but it's built in so that students have an idea of what it will take to be really successful in those classes, with those appropriate preparation.
Okay.
That was an excellent add-on, Christine. Yes.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Kayla. Thanks for being on here so long.
Okay, up next is Adon.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I have kind of like two questions. This was just like touched on the previous question. So I have a question regarding like prerequisites and like because I kind of already know or planned out like when I want to be, and I'm supposed to like finish these certain prerequisites, and I was wondering, can I finish those at and the NBC college? And then the second question was, like, who could I ask for like guidance, or like is there some like place I can like plan my certain courses just so I'm like prepared and I'm sure that I'm on the right track?
First of all, amazing that you have such a clear vision on your future. Can you share with us what that is, and then we can kind of go with the prereq question first.
Yeah, so I'm like really interested in nursing, and I was just like, I know there's like a certain prerequisites that need to be completed before you admit to like a program.
Okay. Christine or Eric, do you want to tackle that one?
Yeah, I
Eric?
mean, like there's lots of prerequisites for nursing, either getting your BSN for like transferring, right, and getting your bachelor's, or getting your ADN, your associates here at MVC. I think the best thing that you can do is come see us, and just talk to us, because there are a lot of classes that you have to take. There's exams that you have to take. You got to get a certain certification too. So I think that there's too many, right, to just talk about. So I would recommend that you come see us here at the college, and we can go over all those things. So yeah.
And Adon, they can walk you through your plan. So they can create, just like in high school, we have an academic plan, or a 4-year plan. It's called different things. They will create that for you and show you what classes you need to take what semester and when it's offered and what order they need to go in. So that is absolutely something they can do with you.
And then this is the site for counseling services division. So you can click on the links on the right to either contact the counseling front office or schedule an appointment with one of our college counselors. This information is on a slide at the end of the presentation that we did, so you'll have access to that information as well.
All right, thank you. That was really helpful.
Yay! Well, good luck with everything, Adon.
Thank you.
And maybe Audrey will be our last question, because it's already 7:30 and I have to respect my panelists' time and their graciousness and staying on. So Audrey, you will close us out.
Hi, thank you so much. I was wondering if you could explain a little bit in depth of how a hybrid class would compare to an online or an in-person college class, like specifically in summer.
I will pass that off to my colleagues, Audrey. Take it away.
Eric, you want to explain?
Yeah, so basically a hybrid class is a combination of in-person and online. So a hybrid class could be once a week or twice a week, and the rest of the classes, and so the rest of the hours would be online on Canvas. So, maybe like each class is different. So depending on the class, they may be half of the class may be in person, or 3/4, or only a quarter of it, and then the rest would be online. In the summer, I would say that most of our summer classes are going to be online. There's going to be a lot fewer in person. So you'll see a little bit of both, but mainly you'll see more 100% online. But you will see every now and then, main campus is fully in person, 100%. Hybrid is both, right? And then sometimes you'll see also on the location, it'll say scheduled meetings, and that's on Zoom as well. So you'll see a little bit of everything, but basically hybrid is going to be a combination of in-person and online.
Right.
I want to
And
add that the online ones, sorry to interrupt, the online ones, there's a different type of online. There's synchronous and asynchronous. So some of the online could mean that all of your coursework will be posted and is to the students' responsibility to read the material, to submit the coursework to the deadlines. And there's other online courses where they do have a scheduled meeting. For instance, they might be meeting every Tuesday, Thursdays online from like 6 to 7. So there's different types of onlines as well. And every modality, and they will describe on the notes for every class. So I know here you're kind of, they're showing you. So there's like online lecture, there is online no schedule meeting, meaning that's fully online. You might not see or hear the teacher do the lecture. And the hybrid, most of the time, is you meet in person one day and the other day could also meet online, or just submit your coursework online.
there is sometimes a misconception that if a class is hybrid, you can just do the online part. And I caution students against that. I teach a hybrid class this semester, so I think I've had to clarify that with my students to say, no, if a class says that it meets on Tuesday, 7:05 to 8:30, and then there's an online component, it means that you have to be in class that Tuesday from the start and end time, and then do additional work online on Canvas. I also like to recommend and encourage our students to read the comments, because sometimes the class may be online, but then there may be specific dates that they have to meet. So read those comments very carefully. If when in doubt, you can reach out to our counselors, you can reach out to Flora or myself. We can walk you through kind of like what it means. We can also or you can reach out to the instructor just to clarify. Don't just assume that like you're interpreting it right, especially if you have questions about that.
Okay, thank you so much, and thank you for spending this extra time.
Oh, you're so welcome, Audrey. And I'm just gonna close us out. Um, Thank you all so much for staying until 7:35. I hope this information was helpful. We are so glad that so many people were interested in this information, and I think we gave you a lot to think about. I will make sure that we send out our recording, our slides, and then again, Christine in the last slide has our contact information, and so you will get that as well. And happy Wednesday evening, and good luck for all of those of you that are considering either taking a dual enrollment class or selecting a CCAP class potentially in your schedule for next school year. So thank you so much, and we'll be in touch soon. Have a great evening.